Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ask Barry V Show. I'm Barry Vanover. This is Miles Baker, and we are ready to get started with your questions. Question number one. Let's just jump right into it.
All right, question number one for this week. Randy H. asks, I'm thinking of opening a new studio. What advice do you have for picking a location?
Good question. Okay, and I deal with this when we're, helping people open new premier martial arts studios, or our clients getting ready to open their second location. The key thing is location. There's nothing more important than having a good location. The size of your school, the square footage, location trumps square footage. Okay, location within reason trumps the amount of rent that you're paying for. Location is key. You want the very best location, the most visible location in a shopping center or an area with lots of other good businesses around. You want it convenient to your demographic, which for us is moms. You want to make sure if you're a school that runs 75% kids, 25% adults, well then you want to make sure you're as close to the families that have money as possible. Don't have to be rich, but they have to have enough money to pay for your martial arts lessons. So therefore, where are all the elementary schools? Because that's convenient to mom. Where is all the places mom goes and does shopping? So to me, location is key. Now, that's the best piece of advice I could give you. Don't get a bigger school, 3,000-4,000 square feet, and be out in an office park somewhere that nobody can see you and nobody can find you, because it's going to hurt your business. Frankly, you're going to spend a fortune in advertising trying to get people to find you. So location, that's the first piece of advice. Now, as you're trying to find locations and you start negotiating, I like to find 3 or 4 amazing locations. Now, maybe you're in an area there are no such thing as 3 or 4 amazing. There's only 2. That's okay. Find a couple, 2, 3, 4, whatever, locations that you would be just as happy with, okay? Naturally, you're going to have your favorite, and your second favorite, and your third favorite, but you would be willing to do business in either one of those locations. This puts you in a power position when it comes to negotiating the lease with the management of those locations. So send them a proposal. Ask for more than you expect to get. So ask for 6 months free rent on a 5-year lease. You'll end up with 3 or 4 months free rent. Ask for them to do the demolition if there's any needed, and ask for them to do the painting, the common area flooring, all to your specs, colors and materials within reason, right? Or ask for a price per square foot budget on construction. Ask for more than you expect to get. That's how you negotiate. So, and then when you're negotiating with 3 or 4 spaces, let them know you're negotiating with 3 or 4 spaces. Here's something I actually did it on purpose. We're getting ready to open up a new location in a different city, corporate school for Premier, and they asked me to send a financial statement. So all 3 locations I was negotiating with asked for financial statements. I intentionally would take the financial statement form that one management company gave me and fill it out and send it to the other company. It's the same exact information, but they could tell that it was another management company's financial statement that I sent in and filled out to let them know and to prove. And I told them I was negotiating some different spaces, but they don't know. That was just one of those tricky things for them to go, oh, he's working with these people. He is looking at another space. So now all of a sudden when they're sitting down discussing my offer, then they're taking me a little more serious, and they know they've got a little bit of competition. So they're probably willing to say, hey, we really want this business in our center. So being able to negotiate your leases is important also. So there's some great couples of pieces of advice on looking for and negotiating your next location. Okay? There's a bunch of other things we could go over, but I think I more than answered what you asked for anyway at this point.
Next question for this week came from Dan V. Dan V asks, what is the single best advice you have for a martial arts school owner? It's a big one.
Oh,
yeah.
It's a lot. Without knowing Dan himself,
right.
That's hard, because most of the time a martial arts school succeeds or fails. It's directly proportional to the owner, right. Their professionalism, their knowledge. So that's a tough one to answer. But I would say that for every martial arts school owner, you really need to ask yourself whether you're a new school or a struggling school. Now, a highly successful martial arts school owner already has it going on, right? But for a new school owner or a struggling martial arts school owner, best piece of advice is do some soul searching and ask yourself, why did I open up my own business in the first place? Most of the time, people open up a business or they go into a business on their own. I don't know, sometimes for the prestige of being a business owner, right?
Yeah.
But more time, they think they're going to make more money, which they absolutely can, working for themselves than someone else. Maybe it's they think they're going to have more free time, right? Flexibility to come and go as they please, and all of those types of things. So understanding why you wanted to open up your own business, and then understanding the means to that end. What are you going to have to do to get to the point where why you opened up becomes reality? You do have more flexibility. You can come and go as you please. You are making more money for your family and living the lifestyle that you were thinking. You know, you are taking things to another level personally and financially and professionally. The problem that I find is owners try to live their dream lifestyle way too soon. They haven't earned the right or the true ability to come and go from that business as they please. They've not earned the right. They're not making more money because they've not earned it yet, right? They don't have the flexibility, right? They're trying to, and the fact that they're trying to live that life keeps the business from growing. Look, man, I don't know whoever told someone that you can open up a business and show up at 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock every day,
right,
and still leave at 8. You know, I don't know what business that you can open up that you can do that you can take off any day that you want, any time that you want, that you can put a 16 or 17-year-old instructor on the floor to be in charge of 80%, 70% of your business sometimes and teach, right? You've got to spend and grind it out, and you've got to be there and you've got to work it, you know, work it, build it, and eventually someday you'll be able to step back and live that lifestyle, you know. But sometimes people are doing it way too soon. Probably, maybe the next piece of advice would be, what's another good piece of advice? I just got a brain lapse. I was getting so detailed and motivated into that. What would be another?
Well, I think to remember that why. You know, we open a school and you can get lost in the daily grind, and that why, the reason you open a school kind of becomes a fading dream, and you're just stuck in the daily grind. But using systems are clearly what allows a person to build that lifestyle.
Right, absolutely. Without the systems, they're not going to be able to ever walk away, open multiple locations, you know, make more money. You know, they're going to be tied to it. And then if they're not there, it's not going to work.
Yeah, I think a lot of us we're martial artist students turned instructors, and then small business owners. And it's hard for a lot of people to make that jump from practicing martial artist or instructor to a manager or / entrepreneur. That seems to be the biggest gap for people to make that jump. The beauty of it is, I always tell, especially young guys and young ladies that are looking into jumping into our industry, I always tell them that it's such an exciting time for people in our 20s and 30s, because the path is paved, man. It's never been any easier to open a martial arts school and help do whatever it is you want to do. You want to teach more? Great. Put systems in place where people can manage and handle a little bit more of the business. You need to know enough, of course, to keep your eyes on everything and be able to correct people and hold people accountable. Or you just want more time away. Whatever it is, it's never been this easy. So go find the systems. You can try to create them yourself, and you can, for sure. But if you want to fast track it, why wouldn't you just go find the systems that are already there?
Well, and I don't want to take this show as a platform to pitch, okay? But the only experience I have is through, my success is through our what is now a licensing Premier Martial Arts Studios. We have 85 across the country in Canada and England now. But, however, the experience of doing that and creating that and the success of all those schools is through systems. So people are like, we were dealing with two guys that if one came on, they were both going to come on to our organization. Right. But they're, you could tell they were like, why would I need that? Why can't I just do it myself? Right. Or what's the importance? And it really is about putting systems in place that's already been proven and already work.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes systems work together. There's a lot of different ways to do things.
Sure. Oh,
But
absolutely.
one thing builds upon another and complements another one. And if you miss that key ingredient, you're not going to get the same product
Yeah.
as someone else. So those are some pieces of advice. Is, you know, and another thing, another good piece of advice is when you're making a decision, business school owner or school owner businessman, however you want to phrase it, when you're making a decision, imagine the decision is for 10 locations. It's got to work in 10 locations. You may not ever want to open even up a second location, but it's always going to be the right answer if whatever decision you're making will work in multiple locations and not just your location. That ensures that it's a real system that anybody can do, and it's probably the simplest answer. There's another benefit of what we created with Premier is everything is systemized and simple and will work over a large number of studios all across the country and even in different countries.
Yeah.
You know. Okay, I don't want to plug Premier anymore, but that is the three things. Soul search. Why are you in the business? Why did you want to be a business owner? And are you doing what it takes to make that why a reality? Make decisions based on multiple locations. Make it simple. Try to take yourself out of the equation, right? And then, like Mr. Baker said, put together systems that's going to work, whether it's you or anybody applies those, okay?
Awesome. Last question for this week. Hafiel R. asks, he says, I own a BJJ
I don't think
school.
people understand systems, though. I think we throw that word out.
The
in our
term is
industry
used so much. It's generic and it's vague.
And they just hear it.
Yeah,
And they're
I
thinking
agree.
a system is, somebody's going to show me how to answer the phone correctly,
Right.
or you know,
Right.
and it's so much more than that. It's a system is a method of staff training and
Yeah.
developing team members and growing your organization. You know, maybe processes are a better word. You know, I love that
Processes, yeah.
show, The Prophet, and he's always talking about people, product, and processes.
Yeah.
You know, those are the three things you have to have: good people, good processes, and a good product.
There's a huge difference between system or process versus concept, right? Or idea, right? I mean, for me, if it's my business is in the hands of a system, I want it to be a system, an X, Y, and Z to get this result, as opposed to, well, try this or try that, or I need a very detailed way to get, and that's anything. We sometimes use the analogy of baking your grandmother's favorite cake, right? You got to put the same ingredients in to get the exact result, right?
Right.
So yeah.
You know, another thing that we're just expanding on this conversation is I think that why is it that people, investors with a lot of money, if they look for things to invest in and they go to a group that's franchised, an idea that's already been in place and happened,
Right.
and they spend their money on something that's a proven concept. But yet, a martial artist will see something and think they can do it and go in and try to reinvent everything themselves. I think that's part of our culture as a martial
I think
artist
so,
and the
yeah.
freedom of the art and things like that.
Yeah.
But yet the real people that are making mass amounts of money goes in and they want something already proven and cookie cutter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? That's kind of weird
It
too.
gives
I
them
think.
the best bet of getting their return on investment. It's pretty simple, right?
Yeah, yeah.
There's a lot more emotion involved when we're small business and martial artists, and I think that clouds a lot of our decisions sometimes. All right, so last question. This gentleman owns a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school. Hafiel R. asks, he says, I own a BJJ school, and honestly, I'm struggling. I am seeing a lot of friends struggling. What is the difference in BJJ schools and other successful martial arts schools? That's a good question.
Good question.
Yeah.
Good question. You know, we consult quite a few Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and MMA type schools. We train in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We're both blue belts, hopefully purple soon, maybe you before me. We know some of the top Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu people in the country and are friends with them. And I would say that probably the first thing that a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instructor is they believe what they're doing is somehow different than a commercial martial arts school that maybe teaches a traditional style of martial arts or Krav Maga or whatever. They're doing something different. We agree that the art of Jiu-Jitsu is an amazing, efficient art, but so is Krav Maga and MMA and kickboxing and so forth, right? So there's no doubt, but just because it's an amazing, effective fighting art doesn't mean that you can do anything you want in the business and people are just going to flock to you.
Right.
You still have to provide value. You still have to understand basic teaching principles that people are going to want to study and learn from, so they won't quit and move on to something else. And you have to understand everything from marketing to how to answer the phone. All of those key
You're
things.
still
that make
marketing
you
to the
professional.
same people. It's the same mothers that whether she takes her child to a taekwondo school or a
Exactly.
jiu-jitsu school, she still wants her kid to get character development, exercise, and self-defense.
Yeah,
It's
what
no
you
different.
do on the mat, how you correct a child's behavior in a jiu-jitsu class or a martial art karate class is exactly the same. How you treat your adults, creating drills and exciting classes, the camaraderie, all that value is still got to be the same, right? And the business systems are exactly the same. Why BJJ and MMA guys think they have to find out what another BJJ guy or something is doing? It's all the same thing. And the funny thing is when you see somebody trying to teach this techniques and consulting to these type of schools, MMA or BJJ or whatever, we look at it and we're like, shit, we've been doing that for 10
years,
or 15 years.
Yeah.
It's just new to them.
Sure.
And because it came from somebody like-minded
Within the
and
culture.
within their culture, they think that it must be real and must be work.
Right.
That's probably the thing I see that hurts most schools is they're
Yeah.
not. They think that somehow they have to do something different than a commercial, traditional.
Maybe worried about their own peers and
what people look like, what people think. I was
Yeah.
working with a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school, and we were creating artwork and marketing materials for them, and they're like, those, we don't want that. We want more natural-looking people. Okay, so let me get this straight. The type of ads that we're doing work all over the country for all these schools.
Right.
But just your school, you think these people look too good and they're too polished and it looks more too marketing.
Yeah.
So you want me to put some real student with some pimples and
right.
whatever. I don't,
Dirty
it's just funny
Yeah.
to me sometimes. So I think it's that mindset, But hey, there's a lot of BJJ and MMA guys that we know that
Doing
are
well.
killing it
Have
and doing
embraced.
well and
Yeah.
are figuring it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
That's for sure. All right, we do have one more question. I was wrong. We have one more question for this week. Samuel K. asks, on your last show, I heard you discuss the recent success of your Facebook events. I recently promoted an event, but have gotten little to no results. Help.
Okay, Samuel, again, without knowing what you did, it's hard for me to help. If you'll, email me or send me your number, I'll give you a call and I can ask you, spend 10 minutes asking you a few questions. But, one, did you create a promotion and pay for it on Facebook? Did you create an ad, an event, or even boost a post and actually pay for it? Because if you thought that was going to work virally or organically enough to get a result, it's not happening anymore like that. How much, if you did create a promotion and pay for it, how much money are you spending? Our first information, even a year ago, people were like, oh, for a small business, $2 to $5 a day. Not anymore, man. It's $20 to $40 a day to get a result. What he's talking about was we were talking about the women's self-defense workshop and just the massive amounts of our clients that are getting people registering for that. We're spending $20 a day minimum. And you know what? If it starts working at $20 a day and we get those leads coming in, we increase the budget. Now, why would you increase the budget when you're spending $20 a day and you're getting leads? Because it means the ad has been at $20 a day, the promotion has been in front of enough people to get a good test on whether it resonates and whether it's working. And then if it is, increase the budget so more people see it faster. Especially if you're doing an event, we only had 2 weeks at a time. So when we see that it's working, we're going to increase the budget because we know the ad resonates, it's working, we want more people to see it faster. So that's the type of concept and the type of mentality. Now, what type of ad copy you used and images and things like that are important too, but I can't
Do they
really...
capture the information?
Yeah, how are you capturing the information? Are you asking for them to message you privately? Are you sending them to a link at like an Eventbrite, which handles the registration portion for you? Are you sending them to a landing page? All of that stuff we would have to talk about a little more in detail. But at least there's some things for you to be thinking about. And hey, give us a call. We'll be glad to help you. Okay. And if you're really looking at stuff like that, I'm going to plug something, guys. MAOnlineIgniter.com. Our online igniter would provide a lot of that information for you, Samuel, as well. So, is that it?
That's it for this week.
Well, this show seemed quick.
Yeah, this is good.
All right, sounds good. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.